of the person that I put in to disrupt this agency, that then becomes, do you want to make that a pattern? We know that Trump doesn't like backing down from things like that. I mean, when they start making the first move to pull people, that could be a sign that, they are open to pulling people who are controversial in the future.
Right. We certainly have seen that already. NBC's Ali Vitale, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jonathan O'Meara, so New York Times article this morning, you look through it. It adds to his list of concerns specifically. First of all, we have the sexual misconduct, including rape allegations in a police report. You've got the public drunkenness. That came out yesterday, NBC News. And then you have financial mismanagement. So these are the numbers that the New York Times brought out today. He went to Vets for Freedom. They had an $8.7 million budget in 2008. $8.7 million. By 4 years later, by 2012, it was in debt. And then, as the New York Times said, it, quote, fizzled out. He then was at Concerned Vets for America, who, as the Times said, continually spent more money than it took in. And then the last year he was there, it was $37,000 in debt. That's for these two smaller vets organizations. And then you add on top of that, forget the financial mismanagement. Then on top of that, you have the New Yorker piece that talks about the whistleblower complaints of his activities while he was there. So sexual misconduct, public drunkenness, financial mismanagement, these whistleblower reports, and all of that is on top of the concerns that a lot of Republicans have that he just doesn't have the qualification to be Secretary of Defense. I've got to say, as Ali and other people are reporting, this looks like, a failed PR attempt yesterday as sort of a last gasp. But it looks like the Trump transition team is already ready to move on.
Yeah, there are a few things at play here. First, there's still anger on the Trump transition team that Hegseth wasn't fully transparent about some of this in the early stages of his nomination. Though, of course, the Trump transition team should also be blamed for its inadequate vetting process, the fact that it wasn't using FBI background checks and the like. The financial concerns are real. These are relatively small organizations that he ran. The Pentagon, the biggest bureaucracy in the country. Nearly 3 million people work there. And certainly a lot of reports about concerns about his personal conduct. I'm told yesterday that, yes, this was an effort, a last-ditch effort to do a media tour, to get back on the Hill. He will go again today, to try to salvage this. But the odds are stacked against him. I talked to a couple people close to the process who said this is deeply unlikely. They wouldn't be surprised if this disappears in the next couple of days. So, Reverend Sharpton, what this does do, if this nomination goes away, if Trump pulls it or Hegseth steps away because he's a distraction or however he wants to frame it, this gives the Republican senators, though, another opportunity to defy Donald Trump, to say, look, this person's not qualified. I can't support him. Do you think this is the beginning of a backbone being formed? Do you think that this would embolden them, perhaps, to insist on Senate independence going forward?
I think that we should look at this in the context of that maybe some Republican senators still want to do what's best for the country. To have someone who clearly never managed anything of this level in terms of, you have 3 million enlisted men and women and staff. The lack of any kind of examples of him being competent enough to handle that should raise questions. And then you have the allegations of sexual abuse and alcoholism and all. I think that for the senators to stand up and say, we're in a world where we're dealing with Ukraine, the Middle East, we're dealing with potential problems that could become military engagement for the United States. We need somebody that can handle that rather than say it's them just standing up to Donald Trump. I think that, a newsflash, the world does not rotate around Donald Trump. We need to get out of making Donald Trump the sun and we all rotate around it. People ought to stand up on what they believe, and these senators ought to stand up on what